let's talk about First LEGO League. Now today we're going to let you know exactly what you need to prepare for your First LEGO League RePlay competition. We're also going to share with you some great resources and tools for your team meetings. It's going to be a very different season, but that means that we have more time to help you out with all of this stuff. One big change from last year is that the First LEGO League season isn't going to begin until late February. We're thinking around February 21st, but we don't have a date for you just yet. In the coming weeks and months, we're going to come out with lots of cool webinars about what kind of trophies you can get and how you can advance to the finals and how you can level up your competition, both in the robot game and the project. So let's get to the competition framework. This is what you're going to be doing this year. So First LEGO League has 4 different parts. The first one is called the innovation project presentation. The second part is the robot design. The third part is going to be a reflection of your team's core values. And then finally, you're going to program a LEGO robot. I know that a lot of you are here for the LEGO robot, but I will remind you that all 4 of these parts of the competition are equally as important. So as you are looking to program your robot, you're also thinking about how you're going to explain the way that you created your robot. And you're also going to be working on your innovation project and practicing your core values at the same time. In order to move on to the championships and in order to do really well, you need to be exceeding at all 4 of these parts of the competition. So if you've been on a First LEGO League team before, you'll know that there are 2 major parts of the competition. The first part is judging, and the second part is your robot game. Now the judging happens to be most of the time that you're going to spend, quote unquote, at a competition. And we're going to go through all the things that you're going to need to prepare for judging this year. The innovation project. If you haven't looked at what the innovation project prompt is, I would recommend that you go to the First LEGO League YouTube channel and look up all the cool videos that they have about getting started with First LEGO League. The innovation project is a project where you think about ways to help your community and you come up with a brand new innovation, or you work to improve an existing innovation and then you present it to a set of judges. So in the end, after all of your work from now until the end of February, you're going to come up with a 5-minute presentation to explain your innovation project. Now, what does explaining your innovation project mean? There is a really great guide that you can follow. Step by step, you're going to talk about how you identified your problem and then how you researched it and designed your solution. Afterwards, you're actually going to share your innovation with somebody, whether it's your parents, whether it's another teacher, anybody in your community that could benefit from your innovation. And then you're going to learn to pitch your solution at an event. When I say pitch, I mean you're going to convince the judges that your innovation is the best idea for whatever problem that you have researched. You're the expert in those 5 minutes. You can find all of these instructions on page 8 of your engineering notebook, which is the workbook that you can use for your First LEGO League experience. Now, if you're looking for your engineering notebook, your coach likely has it, or we're going to send out a digital version of it as well. So this year, the theme is called RePlay, which means that you're going to identify a problem specifically linked to people not being active enough. These days, we're all sitting in front of a computer. You and I are all sitting in front of a computer, and we just sometimes don't get up and we don't run and jump and walk around quite enough because we can find everything on our computers and our phones. But being active is so, so important, not only to our physical health, but also to our mental health. It helps our brains grow. And you're going to research problems that are linked to that and come up with a brand new invention. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to start completely from scratch. One really cool thing about your first LEGO League experience is that your robot game is tied to your innovation project. If you look at the different missions, which are the things that the robot interacts with on your game board, you'll see that they're all themed after the first LEGO League RePlay theme, which means that they can be inspirations for your innovation project. So once again, if you go back to your engineering notebook, you'll see that there are exercises that walk you through all of the different missions on your board and explain to you what they're supposed to represent. And then you can take it from there. Maybe something will inspire you there. Maybe you can go completely outside of that and find a problem that matters to you. There's also another place that you can look for inspiration for your project, and that's by going to www.firstlegoleague.org/season. The inspirational season resources document, it has links to really great articles about what people are already doing when it comes to coming out with innovations that help people get moving. You'll learn about existing innovations that are in the news right now, and you'll also learn about the research that's going on around physical health. Check out that resource on your own time. All right. Let's move on to the robot design. So the robot design presentation is very, very closely linked to your actual robot game, but there is a period of time where you will be preparing a 5-minute presentation to explain how you got to your final robot. How did you design it? How did you program it? What is the strategy that you used in order to tackle the robot game? Remember, you only have 2.5 minutes on the field in order to score as many points as you can. As far as I can tell, no robot can go to every single mission and score points on every single part of the map. So, how did you choose which missions to tackle? You're going to tell judges about the different versions of the robot that you went through in order to get to your final robot design. And also you're going to be able to show them your program. Everything is going to be done over Zoom this year. So you'll be able to screen share if you can, or you can just print things out and then show the judges that way. Now, robot design is going to be a little bit more difficult if you're not able to meet in person quite as often, but there are some really cool online resources that you can use to keep track of your robot design, as well as work on your robot without being there in person. This one I'm very excited about. It's called Bricklink Studio 2.0. Real engineers, they use this thing called computer-aided design. It basically means that they can build virtual objects on a computer. And this is a program where you can actually load in virtual Lego parts and build your robot completely virtually. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to this program. It's complicated. Adults use it in order to create engineering prototypes on this program, but it's also easy to get started, and there are lots of tutorials on YouTube. So not only can you create your virtual robot on this application, it also keeps track of the exact parts that you use. So let's say you wanted to create 2 identical robots so that 2 people have the robot at their homes to test out. You can keep track of all the parts, and not only that, but it can generate the step-by-step instructions for building your exact robot. If you've ever seen the step-by-step instructions for building the educator robot, the EV3 robot, you can generate your own. It looks super professional, and you can always use this as part of your presentation. The software is completely free. This software is created by Lego and maintained by Lego. So you should have all the parts that you need in the library already. But if you have any questions about it, or if we can help you get started, do email me and I will send you all of the YouTube links. Another really cool resource that has come out this year is what we call the First LEGO League Strategy Planner. So this is something that you can just open in your web browser, even on your tablet, and you can just sketch out your strategies. So what I've done here is I've said that my robot needs to go in an arc all the way to the north part of the mat, and you'll see that there is a blue arrow that I've sketched onto this planner. So this is the mat that you're going to be working with. This is the field that you are going to be working with. And if you're working remotely with your teammates and you need to share ideas, this is a great way to show people visually what you would want the robot to do. Once you draw on this mat, you can save it, you can share the file, and then somebody else can open up the file in the FLL Strategy Planner. So you can find this planner at flltutorials.com, and the link is on the bottom. I would recommend, if you're new to First LEGO League, flltutorials.com has so many cool tutorials for you, including how to follow a line, how to make your robot more accurate, and it would be a really great resource for you to get started. The website is created by a team that used to do First LEGO League. Now they've gone on and they're doing First Tech Challenge, which is the high school version of robotics. But they're still so passionate about First LEGO League that they're creating new resources for this year. So the core values for First LEGO League, they're on your screen right now. They're discovery, inclusion, innovation, teamwork, impact, and fun. Now, if you were part of First LEGO League in the past, you remember that we used to have this core values activity that you would do during judging, and then you would have a core values poster. We're not doing that this year. Core values is going to be an underlying thing that judges will look out for as you're doing your other two presentations. Now, you will have 2 minutes to be able to reflect on your core values as a team, but that's more of an informal type of, hey, this is how we demonstrated core values while we were meeting remotely or meeting in person during this brand new season. So as you are going through your season, definitely think about how you're going to talk about your core values during those 2 minutes. But this is not a formal presentation. There's less practicing than there will be for your other 2 5-minute presentations. And for the most part, the judges are going to see these core values as you're presenting. In those 2 minutes, though, you will be able to tell them about things like how you came up with your team name or what kind of fun activities you did that isn't directly related to your First LEGO League presentations. Like maybe you played some games together. It's these little things that you'll be able to mention in those 2 minutes. And we do have activities that you'll be able to do outside of just your First LEGO League experience. So First has come out with this resource called First at Home, which is free activities for everybody. You can do virtual group activities that are related to science, technology, engineering, math. They're constantly updating with new activities, and we want to make sure that you're having fun at home, you know? So if you click on the www.firstinspires.org link, You'll get to see all the cool activities for your age group and for all the other age groups. So you don't have to stick with just first LEGO League activities. You could do really cool high school activities too if you wanted to. So we talked about all of the judging sessions, but what does it all look like put together? This year, and this is for the students and the coaches that were participating in First LEGO League last year, this year things are a little bit different. You're going to spend 30 minutes on a Zoom call with a set of 2 or 3 volunteer judges. You're not going to be rotating through Zoom calls. You're not going to be seeing more than those 2 or 3 judges. You're just going to hop onto a call, and however you want to do your presentations, whether you're going to share your screen or you're going to hold up your presentations, you're going to run through your presentations in this exact order. So to go through it very quickly, as you hop onto the Zoom call, there will be 2 minutes where you'll get to learn a little bit about your judges, what their professions are. You'll introduce yourselves, and then you'll go directly into your innovation project presentation. And then they'll get to ask you questions about your innovation project presentation. And then you're going to hop right into your robot design presentation, 5 more minutes for robot design question and answer, and then for those core values reflections. The feedback that you get from your judges is just how they're responding to your presentations. You will also get a rubric back. So these are your judging rubrics. What do the judging rubrics tell you? They tell you exactly how you can exceed in each part of your first LEGO League presentations. So for those of you that joined us last year, these rubrics are different than last year's. They're new, they're improved, and they allow you to exceed in many, many different ways. You can get a 1, beginning, 2, developing, 3, accomplished, and 4, exceeds. But under exceeds, the judge can fill in whatever they want. So any way that you think that you can exceed at a presentation, you can go for it. As you're going through your season, make sure that you're hitting all of the things in the accomplished column, but feel free to use your imagination to bring it to the next level. Now, we just talked about the presentations up to this point. There's still that really important part, the robot game. That's where you score points and program your robot to get as high of a score as possible. Now, how is the robot game going to work? This year, there's this new thing called the robot game rulebook. Your coach probably has this book, but you can always find it online as well. The robot game rulebook tells you how you set up your field, how you're going to score points, what kinds of LEGO equipment you can use, and what rules you need to follow during your 2.5-minute match. There's a lot in the robot game rulebook. So I need you guys to go into the robot game rulebook and learn all of these rules so that we can talk about strategy in an upcoming session. There are changes from last year if you're familiar with the robot game from last year, so keep an eye out for that as well. This year, there's something really cool that's coming out called EV3 Classroom. If you've done robot game programming before, this is a completely new programming language that's based off of Scratch. You do not have to use the new programming this year, but if you wanted to, you could go download it right now. If you want, you can go to the LEGO Education link down there and download it for your computer. For the coaches, if you are using the engineering notebook, there is an alternative robot lessons sheet that you can use if you do not want to use the Scratch programming this year. For each activity, there is a lesson that you can use inside of the LEGO Mindstorm software, and this just gives you the alternative lesson for the existing EV3 programming language. All right, so you're wondering, how do we submit our robot games when all of the events are remote. The official guidelines are already laid out by FIRST, which means that your coach should log on to their firstinspires.org dashboard, and there will be something called a ThinkScape portal. There's a button that just says ThinkScape portal on the dashboard, and you'll be able to access all the guidelines that are set out by FIRST. These are the guidelines that we're going to be using for the competition itself, which means that even now you can start practicing the video recording. All you're going to need is a cell phone camera, and it will tell you, how are you going to angle the camera? What do you need to show at the end of your robot game in order to score? You're going to have to do a little bit of practice beforehand to make sure that it's working well, but I think that by the end of February, everybody will be experts at filming the robot game. And then finally, if you're the type that's interested in keeping track of all the scores, you can actually find the robot game score sheets on firstlegoleague.org. It has exactly what you need to do in order to score on the left-hand side, and in red, it will tell you how much you're going to score by accomplishing those missions. This is a change from last year where the score sheet was not quite as detailed, but this year you're going to be able to strategize really well using these robot game score sheets. And then finally, if you're not able to have a robot game table in front of you at all times, there is what we call a wireframe and grid available this year. So you'll see that there is a red grid laid on top of the field, and that just tells you what the dimensions are for each part of the field. So each box is 20 centimeters, and if you were to want to move your robot from, let's say, A1 to F2, you'll be able to know approximately how far you need your robot to go. And then you can use that in your programming. So if you're not able to use your robot at all times and you're not able to be at your table at all times, you can still strategize with your team over Zoom just by looking at this type of wireframe. There's also this printable mat art that you can use, which is new this year. There's an organization called techbrick.com. They have such great resources for FLL teams. This is just one of them. And you can print parts of the mat that you're going to use. So let's say you needed to have a printout of your base to make sure that your robot fits in the base, or to mark down exactly where your robot is going to start in the base. You could print just that part out and you can practice with that part of the mat. The last thing that we're going to go over today, just to get everyone started, is if you are a public school in New York City, there are 2 funding opportunities that are available through DonorsChoose right now. And that means that if you need materials outside of just your mat and your robot, let's say you need to get t-shirts for your team, you can always go to DonorsChoose.com and set up a project there. The first opportunity that we have is a 1-for-1 match for any STEM project. So even if it's not First Lego League, so long as your project is an applied sciences project, you can put it on DonorsChoose, and for every $1 that gets donated, Con Edison will match $1. The other funding opportunity that I want to mention is the News Corps selective funding. So selective funding means that if you have a project that is submitted as a first project, News Corps will partially fund that, even if you don't get donations to start off with. So we recommend any project up to $500 to submit as a first project. The only thing to note is that you can't actually get selective funding for your first Lego League registration, but anything outside of that, like 3D printers, tablets, Lego robots, you can submit as part of this project. So like I said, this is only one of many, many meetings that we'll have for this season from now until the end of February. And we have a lot of projects coming up. The timeline is less clear because of how school openings are going, but Here's what we have in mind. We want to do a deep dive into the competition structure, which means awards and how you can level up your play and how you can get to the semifinals and the finals. We're going to do things around mentoring. We have lots of great volunteers who are more than willing to help out with your presentations and give you feedback and get you ready for your presentations. So we're going to be doing team matching with mentors in the coming months. We've got rookie coach webinars coming up and both technical and innovation project webinars coming up. And then finally, we want all of you to be helping each other out as well. So we're going to be planning remote scrimmages where you're not only going to be helping each other out with robot games, but also with your presentations. So if you're not a registered coach, but you want to stay in the loop about these upcoming webinars, please do email me and request to be added to the mailing list. If you are a student, ask your coach if it makes sense for you to be in the loop about these events, but usually all the coaches are going to get emails about this, and then you can sign up as well. I know that this was a lot of information. The beginning of First LEGO League always feels like just getting to understand what the competition looks like and what you need to do to get started. If you can let us know if this webinar was useful for you, that would be super duper helpful. And also how we can make our webinars better or more engaging for you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.